Hi, I'm Lynn.
And I'm Leo. Welcome back to our channel, Yoga with Lynn and Leo.
And welcome to our tutorial today. So hopefully you're still with us. It's day 3 and we've got 3 poses to actually go through today. We're going through these poses in a little bit more depth. So if you want to have a longer routine, then go back to day 1 and you'll be able to come into a slightly longer routine and use this just for information and to improve the poses.
Absolutely, you'll get a better understanding, a deeper understanding, and you'll know a little bit more about the alignment and symmetry in the poses, which will give you a lot of the benefits of the pose.
Okay, so hopefully you're on your mat. Our first pose is Adho Mukha Svanasana. So you can see here, Leo is starting from a kneeling position. Now, I know we have given tutorials on this before, but we're going through just once again just to freshen everything up to make sure that we're practicing in the correct way. So be sure that your palms are like suction pads and you open the palms strongly. And also to be sure that they're moving down, but also there's a bit of energy there. It's almost as if your palms are glued to the floor, but they can't actually move. So you're really putting a lot of energy into those palms. And this area here, this whole spinal area, we really want to get that extension and elongation. So we have to be sure that that's supported. And we have to see that these hip bones are lifting, you can see here, and lengthening. So I want you just to extend a little bit forward. So you have to look at the video for this, and a little bit back. Yes, to here. So this length, you can see here, this is like a mini dog pose, but without the leg action. You can see how long this extension comes, and this is what we're looking for in our Adho Mukha Svanasana. So we're ready to go. So tucking the toes under and then lifting up through the centre of the body. Now, it's really important when you first start this pose to get this lift through the legs, through the thighs. Now remember, all forward bends rely on the lift of the front leg. So we know the hamstrings can lengthen, but we've got to see that we deeply work those skin fibres, those muscle fibres just above the knee. So all this area needs to lift. So if you can't feel it at the moment, just really put your mind into it and eventually it will start to move. So you've got to get this length up through the thigh. And from there, we're going to see that we push into those palms again so that we reach the whole of the body back. So from those palms, you can see that Leo is going back here with the spine. Now, we get to the stage, it may be that you're feeling a little bit tight in this area, in this lower back region. Then we have to see that these thigh bones, particularly the root of the thighs, these roots of the thighs need to move back really strongly. So for those of you who are quite flexible in terms of mobile in the knees, you want to see that actually you encourage these creases to move. Now you can do this by just taking a little bit of the load out the knee, just softening the knee, only slightly, only slightly. So it gives a little bit of softness to the groin, and you'll be able to move these creases a little bit further back. So I'm going to just help Leo here. And then with resistance, start to see if you can move those muscle fibres back into the bone. So you may have to just have a little look at the video for that instruction. And then softening your knees and releasing back into Adho Mukha Virasana. So you may have stayed the whole length of that time. If you have, well done, but otherwise do have a practice at some of those adjustments. And then coming up. We're coming for Utkatasana. So Utkatasana comes with a really good Tadasana. Now, if you were with us yesterday, we did go through Tadasana in quite good depth in day 2. So see that you are scanning the body from the very base and then working through the legs, through the body and lifting through the centre of the body. So we come for Urdhva Hastasana, so we're going to take the arms up and extend. So we've got to remember that this area between the hips and the shoulder blades, and the lower ribs, you've got to see that there's a really broad and long extension of space there. So it's not just the arms taking up, but you're lifting up all the way through from the base of the body. Then for Utkatasana, it's like sitting on a chair. It's the shape of the chair that we're looking for. So we soften the knees only. Now, this isn't a wooden pose, so it does have some fluidness, but the fluidness comes from what we were talking about in the thighs. They've got to pull up, and then we have to see that the centre of the body moves to the back of the body. So we've got to see that we get that initial action, and then continue to go back as if you're going to sit down onto a chair. Now, quite often, the mistakes with this pose is when the arms come forward. Yeah, you'll want to keep them in line with the ears, and go back even more. Weight into the heels. Look forward. Extend the chest up, and then take a breath in and come up, and releasing the arms down. So Utkatasana is challenging in itself, as it's such a challenging pose, but you have to see that you keep grounded in those heel bones, and you keep going back with that steadiness. So it's quite a lot to practice, quite a lot to learn over a period of time. So we come for Uttanasana, and so another quite extreme action. Now, for those of you who've got really tight hamstrings, then sometimes it can really be quite frustrating, but you have to see that you just gradually build this pose. It takes time. So what we're going to do to start with is to take the arms back up into Urdhva Hastasana, and just to feel that action of extension. Now, this lift comes, and when you come into your forward bend, you've got to maintain that lift. So it's really quite a challenging action completely. So see now that you come into Utkatasana again. All right, and then as you come forward, keep going forward, keep going forward. We're going to touch the floor with those fingers and just be there. All right, now you have to see that you pull up your leg muscles, your thigh muscles, and you lift the buttocks, and see how much you can straighten those legs. Now you might come to a point where they're not going to straighten anymore now. That's it, enough. So then you just take the fingers back and you place them onto your shins, and then you get the legs lifting up and look forward. So you can see here Leo's got a really nice straight extended spine. But for Leo, she can take her hands down to the floor, so she's going to take the hands to the floor and be in this position. The feet are together, so it is the classic pose. It's a little bit more strenuous. And then for those of you who go a little bit further, lift those thighs even more. Remember what we were saying about the creases of the thighs in Adho Mukha Svanasana. They have to really deepen their action. And then walk those hands back. So this may be a little bit challenging. So you have to see now that the buttock flesh comes from the back of the buttock all the way over towards the back of the waist, and be there. And try not to push it or grip or grasp. Just breathe into it slowly. Remember what I was saying about this area needs to be really nice and broad, this lower back region. And then walking your hands forward, and then coming up. So you can see there we came from Utkatasana. Now, we sometimes practice in this way when people have got really stiff thighs. It's very difficult to actually just hinge forward. It's quite a challenging action. And there's lots of different ways we can practice Uttanasana. I think we have got a tutorial on this.
I'm fairly sure we have.
Fairly sure, which will go into lots of other ways. But actually, if you come from the soft groin action and then try and straighten the legs, if that's a step too far, then do put your hands onto the shins. There are options if you've got yoga equipment to put your hands onto bricks as well. So that's all very possible, but do have a look at our pose directory. So we're going to come into Adho Mukha Virasana. So coming down to floor level. and then extending forward. So just take a few breaths and stretch the body out now. Remember what we said in day 2, that you want to really stretch back onto your heels, and if this isn't possible, then do have something between the heel and the buttock itself, and take a few breaths. Be aware of the length of the side waist, which is really lovely in this pose because you've got a nice extension in the thighs, and just be aware of quietening the breath for just a few moments. So as you're quietening the breath, be sure that the arms are nice and straight, palms are flat to the floor, and then there's a softness that comes into this pose, Adho Mukha Virasana. And then we're going to come into seated position. If you're enjoying this, then do stay. And we hope you've enjoyed our 3 poses today on day 3.
Yeah, they're quite tough poses, so you know, if you're finding that it's difficult, do have a look at the pose directories that we've got in our playlists, because we've got all of these poses written down. I think we've got all of them on the pose directory, I think. But have a look in the pose directories and you know, have a practice of them if they're tricky. Those are the ones you need to do. Unfortunately, the poses you find most difficult are the ones you need to practice the most.
Oh, absolutely, definitely. Yes, so don't get despondent if there are things that are you're finding really challenging and the muscles are stiff. This is why you're practicing yoga. So listen to your body, and also search out an Iyengar teacher near you.
Absolutely. So thank you for joining us today, and we'll look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Namaste.